Estonia is an interesting country. It's a country of less than 2 million people, which is pretty rare. The world is growing pretty fast, and Estonia is remaining very small. They have major success story for such small ecosystem: Pipedrive, Taxify, TransferWise, Skype in the past. So really, startups that are making a difference globally. Now, Estonia basically had two things. First is success with Skype. Skype was critical to the Estonian startup ecosystem. And second of all, they also understood the concept of fighting for talent. And Estonia is a very welcoming country. They have innovative programs like e-residency that allows you to receive an e-residency in Estonia. Even if you're from a country like India or Australia or whatever, you can be an e-resident of Estonia and can open your business there and so on. Nomad Visa and many other programs, they're doing really interesting stuff on the trying to drag innovation into Estonia. So that's something to definitely consider. Other thing that Estonia is doing, and we talked about, is they're great in marketing. They don't only do the e-residency, they market it absolutely everywhere. They don't only have the success stories, they also market the success stories everywhere. So the idea is that you want to kind of do marketing for your ecosystem if you're a government, and it's important because you're fighting for talent. And the conclusion of Estonia is that instead of all their talent, just like, for example, Lithuania had a problem, that a lot of the local talent is now in England and places like that, once they got accepted to the EU. In Estonia, it didn't really happen. Everyone stayed. A lot of them stayed. Many come back. Now many, by the way, come back to Lithuania as well, which is really great. But the idea is that Estonia lost a lot less talent and could be in a much higher position, for example, in comparison to the other Baltic countries, also because of what they've done with the startup ecosystem. The next case study that we're going to have a look at, and the last one actually, is Israel. So Israel is very interesting. Israel is an interesting case of making lemonade from lemon. Israel has a very complicated security situation, conflicts, and so on and so on. However, all those conflicts and situations actually created what I think is actually an accelerator. And this accelerator is actually the army. So what happens in Israel is the following. The army has very positive impact on the local startup ecosystem because of a few things. First of all, something psychological. People really get to know each other in the army, so the partnerships are a lot stronger after the army because people know each other. So there aren't that many issues between co-founders because you know if your co-founder is actually someone you get along with also when the situation is getting tough. Now, the other thing that happens in the army is that a lot of the things that the army is working on is becoming startups as well, civil startups. And also you have those, let's say, some kind of guilds in the army from specific units that are becoming supporting of people the minute they leave the army. So, and those are private guilds of people that were in the same unit and are now supporting the units. So there are a few interesting units there that are basically formed ecosystem around the branch of the activity in the army. So here is a great example of a country that should have been a failure on startup ecosystems, on innovation and so on, and actually made lemonade out of lemon. So that's a lesson for many other countries that are also in the same situation. You can thrive also if you have a problematic geopolitical situation. Now the culture and mentality of Israel is that everyone wants to start a startup. And this is exactly what a startup ecosystem needs. If you go to places like East Europe, people will tell you, no, I don't want to take a risk, or I don't trust entrepreneurs, and so on and so on. So this is, of course, changing, and we're seeing a lot of movement in East Europe also to the understanding that startups are absolutely great, but some things are left to be changed in the mentality. And in Israel, because of the very early success story, the mentality change already happened. So that's very useful for a country to have a mindset of a population that is entrepreneurial, and to have your family and friends actually encourage you when you tell them, I'm going to quit Google and I'm going to build an application, which would be unheard of in other countries. In Israel, it's super accepted, and it's actually disappointing if you don't do that. Now, the government of Israel is actually supporting entrepreneurs with the Innovation Authority grants. I think it made a lot of sense when the ecosystem wasn't mature. It makes a lot less sense now. So I honestly don't have a clear opinion about should the government still invest money in startups, but it's something that is being done, and the ecosystem is pretty successful. So maybe it helps.